What's going on, 49er fam? It is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. And nothing to be happy about today. This game was, it was comical. It was comical, but 49ers go down to the Packers 38-10. And as much as you and me both don't want to get into it, we're going to get into it. But before we got to hit the music.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I like to know.
are you ready for start time?
And once again, it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast, and pardon my chuckling, but that's how comical this game was today. The 49ers they go down to the Packers 38-10. And, you know, anybody that says that they were expecting the 49ers to come out and find a way to win this game, they were just kind of kidding themselves. Can we just say that? I fully did not expect the 49ers to win this game. I said on my show that it was possible. It was possible. I said on me and Beto and Brandon's show that I wasn't going to bet against the 49ers. I was going to predict a win just because I'm trying to speak it into existence. But anybody that says that they really believed in that by all shadows of a doubt that the 49ers were going to win this game was kidding themselves, especially once Purdy went down, and then Mooney Ward's not playing again, which, for him to even be in the building is something in itself. But Bosa not to play, Trent Williams not to play, it was just, I don't even know why CMC played. I'll be honest with you. I know that Kyle didn't think CMC was going to be the difference in this game, and that he was going to win this game by himself. And because he hasn't played well since he came back, and he didn't play. Same thing happened in this game. I think he had one long run, and then he fumbled. It was that is the microcosm of that. That one CMC run was the microcosm of the entire 49ers season. And that, so many, they break through so many yards, and then, something happens. Fumble, interception, and penalties, just missed tackles. Special teams is a disaster. It's just anything that can go wrong will go wrong this season for the 49ers. And I've said it over and over. But the reality of the matter is no matter how many players the 49ers were missing in this game, you would at least, and that's fine that if they get beat, but don't get beat like they got beat playing undisciplined football. You cannot be as good as the other team and still not kill yourself with penalties. You can get beat by the other team and not fumble. And you can get beat by the other team but not tell your kicker to lock in and then have balls go right through your hands. Debo. It's pathetic. The leaders on the squad right now have to be looking at themselves. Fred Warner is not playing well. And now, I don't completely blame Fred Warner because, he's trying to do it all himself at this point. He's probably looking around and it's like, I don't know what y'all are expecting. But he's not playing well. Let's just say that. And I don't even know where to start. this is not. By the way, this is not going to be a long show because it might be a little bit just because we are going to listen to Kyle and the rest of the players talk, and we're going to give our takes on that. But at the same time, it was just bad all the way around, all the way around. Debo has a really long kick return run, which we finally here's Debo finally contributing, and then he gets called back by a penalty, by a holding penalty, which holding penalty happened multiple times. Uh, I do want to say that a bright spot, Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen didn't play bad. I don't think he played that bad, even though he had a pick, which was not his fault. He hit Debo right in the hands. And granted, Debo was coming across the middle. I think he got a little bit, he saw the guy coming a little bit, which is the reason why he didn't catch it. But honestly, it hit him in the hand. It went right through his hands. And then he had another one go through his hands later. But I thought for the most part, Brandon Allen had a sick throw to George Kittle. I want to mention that one. That was a sick little back hip throw. Uh, yeah, that was a really nice throw. And honestly, he had a couple of nice throws. He had a few nice throws, drops, penalties, the same things that happened to Brock Purdy. Like, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is right now. I think that people are ready to jump on top of Brock Purdy, saying he's not worth this and not worth that. But I mean, he even when he makes a play, it's getting called back. It's getting called back because of a penalty. Somebody's dropping the ball. And that's just the 49ers season this season. So it was just and I see a lot of people on Twitter jumping on the defense. I saw some people jumping on Nick Sorensen and jumping on the defense. I don't know what y'all expect when you're missing the best player on your defense in Nick Bosa. I know Fred Warner, love Fred to death, but Nick Bosa is the one that makes that defensive line go, and everything is it like kind of bases around him. You see what happens when he's not in the game. The run defense was in the early on was non-existent, and they did not play. I mean, the defense didn't play well, but there was things that I was expecting because they don't have Bosa in the game. They don't have Mooney Ward. They don't have Dre Greenlaw. They have secondary backup players and rookies out there. That's what's going to happen. The defensive coordinator can't make them tackle. He put them in a position to make the plays. He put them in a position to get multiple interceptions in this game, and they didn't follow through. I would say that a majority of this was just inexperienced, sloppy play, but most of it was on the players. And some of it probably was on Nick Sorensen. I'd have to watch it back. I know that people were saying he was leaving guys open. Guess what? D'Amico Ryans used to leave people open all the time. All the time. And but nobody said anything then because the 49ers made the play. But when they don't make plays, that and they have a big play like that, now all of a sudden it's Nick Sorensen's trash. And we want to look back to Steve Wilkes, who, I mean, you can say what you want to, it wasn't working with him either. And people can point to stats, but if for all the people that watch the games, we knew that it wasn't working. It wasn't working. So it just because Nick Sorensen isn't having the most success doesn't mean that Steve Wilkes was the right pick either. I just feel like they're at a certain point you're getting so many of your coaches poached that eventually it's going to show up. And I think that's really where we're at right now. I think that he's going to have to go back to the drawing board again. And part of it, honestly, is Kyle. Like, I mean, some of the offense that we saw today, I mean, CMC going out there, he ran the ball. He only had 11 carries with the backup quarterback. He had 11 carries. He only had 5 carries in the first half before the game got out of hand. And he was running the offense like Purdy was in there. And and now Brandon Allen went 17 to 29, 199 yards, a touchdown and a pick. He got sacked twice. He had a 76.7 rating. But I don't think he played that bad. And he did have a fumble as well. But in my opinion, that was. I thought that there was an interesting thing in the game as far as that Brandon Allen was doing that I'd like to see more from Purdy, honestly, is Brandon Allen just threw the ball away a few times. And I would hope that Brock was watching, because honestly, that's going to tell you how good of a play that was called. Like I think that a lot of the time Kyle calls some terrible plays. Not all the time, but when he does call a terrible play, Purdy tries to make something out of it when it's not necessarily there, and it ends up doing a whole bunch of running to get 5 yards. And yeah, you got 5 yards, but maybe if you threw it away more, it would show Kyle, hey, can you stop calling that? Stop calling that. Because Kyle calls a lot of just nonsense plays. And there was a couple of cool plays in there. They had I don't think you can call it a flea flick. It was like a flea flicker screen. That was a cool play. But that was another play to show you the fact that Deebo Samuel does not have the burst. He does not have the speed that he used to. And because in years past, that would have been to the house. For real. That would have been to the house. And yeah, it's what is this? Oh, nice. It was an exasperating game. Like you're watching it, and they were still in the game. I'll tell you this, and Packer fans are probably going to, looking at the score that it was 38-10. Packer fans are probably going to go crazy when I say this, but y'all ain't good. You are not good. Y'all should have beaten us by 50 something. Y'all should have beaten the 49ers by 50 something. And the 49ers stayed in the game. Honestly, the defense kind of kept them in the game. They should have had at least 2 picks, at least 2, maybe 3. So don't come away from this game thinking that you're taking anything away, that you can build momentum off of this. Like the 49ers played terrible, and you still only scored 38. You should have had 50. The way as many penalties. Let's look at the because I'm talking about the stuff that I saw in the game. But I mean, the numbers are the numbers. Jordan Love only had 163 yards passing, and it wasn't because that he wasn't throwing the ball. He still threw the ball 23 times. He had 2 touchdowns. He should have had at least 2 picks. It was bad. I'm sorry. It was a bad showing by him. And Josh Jacobs just did everything by himself. He had 3 touchdowns, and he had 3 touchdowns, 106 yards off of 26 carries. Even that, like, I mean, he only had 4.1 yards carry. And that's not great. Like, he had to run the ball 26 times to get 106 yards. But Emmanuel Wilson had 9 carries for 41 yards. They just ran it down the 49ers' throat and just wore them down. But they gave the 49ers tons of opportunities to come back. I thought they had me thinking there was a couple of times where the 49ers going to take advantage of these constantly trying to give the 49ers the game back. But 49ers just could not do it. Jordan Mason had 3 carries for 8 yards, with Christian McCaffrey's 11 carries, So they only ran the ball 14 times. Now, granted, they were behind most of the game, but at the same time, this isn't new. This isn't new. In the past 2 weeks, when there was one score game throughout, they still weren't running the ball heavy. And I'm not, and I get it that Kyle, with Purdy, I almost made the excuse for Kyle that he's trying to change the philosophy of this team, change the way that they do things. It's more to be more pass happy and that kind of stuff. So it made sense. It even kind of makes sense. They're not playing well all this year, but they're gonna build. They're gonna build upon this on these bad games and learn something from them and start to look better at some point. But not to have the backup quarterback throwing 30 times. Like I mean, you just got to run the ball and get enough plays out of him to expect him to go out there and give him the Purdy game plan. It's it's a little if you didn't think Shanahan had an ego, that should have said all you needed to know. For him to go out there and let Brandon Allen go out there with the Purdy game plan and think that it was going to be, oh, no problem. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback for me. It's my system. It's my system. It's going to work because it's my system. And that's the way it looks. He may not think that way. I don't know. But that's the way it looks. And as far as receiving wise, George Kittle was the only one that came to play. Jawan Jennings made a couple of catches. And he had 5 catches off of 7 targets. Kittle was 6 of 6 for 82 yards and a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey had 3 catches, and basically nobody else had more than 1. Debo had the 1 screen that he caught, but then he had 4 targets, and 2 of those went right through his hands. And if I was Brandon Allen, I wouldn't have thrown it to him either. For what? For what? Like it's just silly. He goes on 1 screen and he's out of the game. He's out of the game. He's out of gas. All the workout videos, I've talked about Debo ad nauseum. I don't know what else to say. To convince people that Debo is not that guy. And I don't know where he gets this thought process that he's this, that, and the third off of 2000 because he had this season back in 2021. And he had 1 season where he was just all world. And he's made plays since then. I'm not trying to say he hasn't made a few plays here and there. But the reality is he doesn't block. He doesn't play with effort. He can't run routes. And now he's just dropping balls in his hands. You're supposed to be a leader. He's going off. He's pushing people in the face. I tried to tell you when that happened, it was more than what you thought. You guys tried to say it wasn't a big deal. And I said at the time that, and I'm not saying you guys, I'm saying that people on social media tried to say, oh, it's not a big deal. That kind of stuff happens all the time. Not on game day. That happens in practice. I see it happen in practice all the time. You don't see it happen a lot on the sideline on game day. I don't know. I don't think that we ever see that a lot on game day. And if I'm lying, then please show me the footage that it happens all the time. But I just think that it was a reflection of the fact that this guy is a leader on the squad, but a leader that doesn't give maximum effort. He's a leader because Kyle made him a leader. And he's a leader because he dances and plays the boombox coming out of the tunnel. I feel like there's a saying there. It's called shadow of a leader. You can't sit there and ask people to do things that you're not willing to do. And I feel like that's Debo. He does a lot of this. Does a lot of that. But when it comes down to it, He doesn't always show up and show out. Now, granted, against the Eagles last year, he showed up and showed out in that game, and he showed up in a couple of games, but there was a lot of games that he doesn't. When you're talking like Debo talks, yeah, I expect him to show up and show out every game. There was never a game that Brandon Ayuk came into the game and was not blocking, was not giving maximum effort, was not running his routes crisp. There's never been a time. But because he hasn't had the plays that Debo has, we don't think of him in the same vein, and it's I don't know. I really Debo has the 49ers had a perfect opportunity to go ahead and move on after this season. But I think that when they restructured his deal, I thought that that was a clear sign because he's here now. He's not going nowhere. That is a 31 million dead cap hit next season. Next season, not this season. Next season, and the season after that, it's another 20 million dead cap hit. So, that is like the odds of him getting moved are pretty slim. Are pretty slim. If it happened, it would be because he had completely worn out his welcome. But I think that him and Kyle are so close that I don't know that it's going to ever happen. At least while Kyle's there. So yeah, it's pretty. It was a pretty brutal loss. Pretty brutal loss, and then you've got what else? What else happened? I mean, when Isaac Yadam has 9 tackles and your cornerback, your safeties have a bunch of tackles, it's never a good It's never a good sign for the defense. Uh, yeah, we had Leonard Floyd at 2 sacks. He has been coming on in the last couple of games. Like he's played a lot better. Um, the defensive line got better as the game went on for the most part. Um, but yeah, it just wasn't good overall. And it's not really all of their fault. They're not these guys are not high picks. They're not they're most of them are castaways uh and undrafted free agents and it's just they're not supposed to be great. That's what you've got Bosa for. That's what you're paying Javon Hargrave to be. But those guys are on the shelf. So I don't know what people expected out of this group, but that wasn't gonna. And it doesn't matter what kind of rah rah speech Nick Sorensen says to these guys. It's not going to. They're not going to just magically be able to do all the things that those more talented guys can do. It's just not going to happen. So when teams, you're not going to outcoach in the NFL. The it's a razor thin margin to begin with. So, but you are definitely not going to outcoach better talent. Like you can, it's possible, but what I'm saying is you're not going to do it on a consistent basis. And the odds of it happening are really, really slim. So it just gets sillier and sillier as you watch, and kick returns. But yeah, let's just get into the. I mean, there's really nothing to be said about this game. It was just a ton of penalties, ton of a bunch of stuff that there was no way that they were gonna outplay. They weren't gonna get on the right page. You could just see it. I mean, Green Bay even dominated time of possession, which 49ers had been dominating the time of possession, but 49ers only had 241 total yards. That's kind of pathetic. So when we're sitting there saying, "Oh, it's all the defense," I mean, they couldn't move the ball. I don't know what you expected to happen. They only had 11 first downs. I just don't know what people were expecting when all these guys are hurt and on the shelf. But let's hear from Kyle, and let's get it cracking. Let's see.
All right, guys. Injuries. Jordan Elliott was out with concussion, didn't return. Flanagan Fowles, knee, didn't return. Renardo Green with the neck. And Aaron Banks left for concussion also. Go ahead.
What part of this game was the biggest disappointment for you?
I mean, the whole game was. So to label the biggest one, the first half, just the run defense was real disappointing. I thought we got out of gaps a number of times. I thought we had way too many missed tackles. Just them being able to control that clock in the first half was one of the worst ones I've been a part of, just for as far as a half. I thought we stepped it up there in the second half, did better, especially in the run game. Offense got an opportunity to get going. They gave us an opportunity to get back in the game. And then to have those 3 turnovers, that all 3 led to touchdowns with 21 points. You top that with the penalties and stuff, and that's how you get embarrassed like that.
How did you guys get back-to-back tonight? How's that happen?
The first one, they had 12 personnel, 2 tight ends in the huddle, which means we have base defense out. They sent another receiver on the field to sub, which when they sub, they're supposed to allow us to sub. So as soon as they did that, we started to change our personnel, and then they rushed up to the line and snapped it. It was a strategic play by them, but one that I don't feel should have been allowed. They didn't give us time to sub on that, and that's why I was upset on that. And then the next one, because they got away with the first one, they tried to do it again the next play, and that's when I went out there arguing again. This time they did allow us to sub. I was out there screaming the whole time, so I'm not exactly aware of what happened with our 12 guys, but obviously we had 12 guys out there. They gave us time to sub, and we didn't get one off. So the second one was on us.
So, for all the people that were chirping on Twitter, Kyle just told you what happened with complaining about, how do you have 12 men on the field twice? That's how. Is because you've got the other team not following the rules. They're allowed to not follow the rules, which the league is gonna probably look at it and apologize, whatever, and it's not gonna mean anything. And then it's just a scramble. Kyle's still yelling at people. And the second one probably should have been caught. But the first one was and then they tried, the refs let him get away with it again. I'm not trying to blame the refs for this loss. It was just a lot. But that play, I saw a lot of chirping on Twitter and a lot of piling on Nick, just looking to jump onto Nick Sorensen. And it's not always what you think. And people just get out of bounds with a lot of this stuff. And now we find out, and you know what? You might still hold Nick Sorensen accountable for that. You might say, oh, well, that's just Kyle making excuses. But that sounds about right for the way the game was going. 49ers missed a bunch of calls out there. And I'm not saying that that's why the 49ers lost, but they missed a bunch of calls. So it is what it is.
When you play first half like that, we gotta be on in the second half. And I loved how we came out on that kick return. I thought that was going to give us some huge momentum. Got called back with that penalty, so we had to go on a long, good drive. And on that drive, I think we got stopped on 4th and 2. But our defense, I think, held them to a 3 and out, so we got it right back. And we were driving, and I thought it seemed like a hell of a throw. They had some soft zone, and he threaded in there between their 2 backers, and looked like it went off Debo's hands. And that was huge because we were trying to get back in the game, but also because they got a big return and got 7 points off of it.
Second week in a row, a lot of penalty issues. What's your frustration level right now with that one?
Big. That was huge at the beginning of the game. We were struggling to get the ball at the beginning of the game in both of those first two drives. I mean, we had 2nd and 1 and go back to 2nd and 6 on that tip ball. And then the next one we started in 1st and 20. So I thought that killed us in the opening drives. And I'll see on those special team ones, a couple I looked up on the scoreboard and, see on the plane how much we agree with them or not. But we got to be much better with the penalties, obviously.
I know you never want those issues, but when you're missing as many key guys as you are, is it even more imperative to play clean?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really not concerned right now about how many guys we missed today. We don't play good enough, so that's not a factor. But when you are missing some guys, you do have to be better. And when you have those penalties, when we didn't stop the run like we did, and then having those 3 turnovers in the second half, that's how you get embarrassed.
When did Brandon?
What was your assessment of how Allen performed in since Brock played against Buffalo?
I thought Allen, from what I saw, first of all, we all got embarrassed. No one played that great, but Brandon, I thought he did some good things. I thought he made some big throws. Just the plays I can think of. He had a rough one in the beginning that he threw to them. They dropped. 2 plays he just slipped on that field that hurt us. But I thought Brandon made some big throws and stuff and gave us a chance.
When did he injure his finger?
It was a few weeks ago, whenever we reported it.
Why start him in spite of that?
Because he's not hurt.
Okay.
You said why start him? Why start him because of the injury?
In spite of the injury.
He's fine. He hurt his fingers like 3 weeks ago.
Did better since Brock played against Buffalo?
No, we haven't done anything since. He's been rehabbing the whole time here, and I'm sure we'll take him through some stuff early Monday or Tuesday and got a better idea then.
How close was Trent today? What was that decision?
It was close. It took it all the way up to now, but all the way up till today. But he was hurting yesterday a little worse than last week at this time, which made us nervous, and didn't wake up good today.
What do you see Christian do?
We didn't get our run game going much. I think we only had about 14 carries, and we didn't see much from anybody today.
Do you feel like you guys have lost some of that the physicality that you guys try to have as a building block for this team?
Great question.
In what aspect?
It just seems in the running game both ways. The offensive running game and then the run defense just seems to be. It almost feels like you guys are kind of
Great question
around in front.
Well, it's a good old line. They got a good scheme. They ran the ball well. When you say we're missing physicality, we are missing some guys. Especially some of the more physical guys in terms of like Greenlaw and stuff, and some of our D linemen, and losing our biggest run stopper and Jordan Elliott during that game. So when you're missing some guys out there, which makes a difference, but I thought they did better in the run versus in the second half. Offensively, I don't think we're lacking physicality. We just didn't get a run game going today, and a lot of that has to do with not attempting to do much of it too.
I'm going to stop him there. That's silly. And just not to own it, they gave you a perfect opportunity to own, hey, we're doing some different things this year. Like, we're doing some different things here. We're not focused on just one style of play. He could have said it 20 different ways. But to lie, he just lied to everybody's face. And that is kind of, I've heard Kyle make excuses before, but we've known that this team has become a finesse team since, honestly, last year, over a year ago, that this team has been more changing more into a finesse team. This is not a physical football team. I don't know if he sees it different, if he really sees it differently than that, because to me that is just such a blatant lie. I don't see how you could think that that this team is any kind of physical at this point. You haven't played physical in over a year. Yeah, that's wild to say. But all right, let's keep going, Kyle.
You guys good?
It's good. All right, guys.
All right. Let's. That's wild. It really kind of. That's a tough one to swallow. I'll be honest. And let's hear from some of the players Here we go.
How do you feel you're seeing it out there today?
Yeah, we started out really slow. I think it took me a minute just to get back into it. So we started slow, which didn't help. Didn't help our defense at all. Started to build some momentum there at the end of the half, going into the second half. Had some drives going, and I think it was just penalties and turnovers really killed us all day today.
Your interception looked like a good throw. What did you see on that?
Tight window. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. But obviously, a tough catch. If he was going to catch it, it'd be a really tough catch. But I got a lot of trust in Debo. I'd probably throw it again, but definitely a tough contested catch, tough throw, but didn't work out for us.
Obviously, it's not your throwing hand, but did the broken finger that have any
No.
have any impact on you?
No, not at all.
What, whether you get slipped a couple times with the slick surface?
Yeah, it started, I don't know, it's snowing, rain, whatever, in the second half a little bit, so just made it a little bit slicker, and it kind of killed us on two. I had one play I could have got it to JJ, started slipping on it, and then the fumble, that one's still right on top of my mind right now. Just brutal, but yeah, it's just unfortunate.
How do you say?
Oh, the turnover, fumbled the ball, gave him short field, so that's brutal on the team.
It's kind of hard to get off to a quick start. How much of those penalties kind of affect you guys in a couple weeks in a row now?
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough to overcome penalties, but I think we have the guys that can. Doesn't help drives anytime you have penalties on it. So we want to play as clean as we can, but just weren't able to then.
What kind of input did Brock have on the sideline?
He's great. Asked for how I was seeing it, what he was seeing, some of the rotation stuff they had going on, and how he was seeing it, and ideas where to get the ball. But he was really helpful on the sideline for me.
You guys were hanging around. You got the ball in the second half.
Mhm.
You scored. I mean, was there a sense of like, hey, we're not out of this?
No, I don't think we ever thought we were out of it. Especially getting the ball in the second half, scoring late in the first, and then getting the ball in the second half and getting that drive going a little bit, and then stalling out. I think that was the fourth down we didn't get, but we knew if we went down and scored to make it a one-score game there, we'd be right back in it. But unfortunately, on those first two drives, I think we're getting some momentum going, but didn't capitalize.
More? Is it good?
Did you, at some point, maybe outside the start of the game, like one time, but at some point you feel like, okay, I'm in a rhythm. I mean, it's really tough because you guys, didn't have many offensive snaps to begin with.
Right.
But it's some, like maybe that touchdown drive, you feel like, okay,
Yeah.
this feels right.
Yeah, definitely. Getting back into the rhythm of it, the live bullets and all that, and I think the first two drives, I think we got 3 drives total in the first half, maybe. So the first 2 drives being basically 3 and outs, it didn't help us as an offense really, just get into a rhythm at all.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't much that he could really say. Like, he had the fumble, he had the pick. He wasn't going to throw Debo under the bus on that, so didn't expect him to. He's not going to sit there and say that Kyle shouldn't have given him the full game plan either. So I think that he did the best that he could being a backup, and last year he was the third string. I don't think he did bad. I'll be honest. I wasn't not pleased with what I saw. I think that there was a lot of circumstantial stuff out there that was just happening that honestly didn't have anything to do with him. The penalties, the drops, the fumble, that's on him. The fumble, it was on him. But other than that, and I think people were overblowing his non-throwing hand, his finger being being in a splint. I mean, it didn't have any. He just told you it didn't have anything to do with anything. Kyle looked at him crazy for even saying like it's on his non-throwing hand. Like what are we talking about? He wasn't hurt. And so that kind of stuff, I agree with them. That's a little overblown. But let's look at who's the next guy. Jeez. Who else? Oh, Kittle. There he is.
Howdy. You gotta. Come on, man. Every time. Howdy. What's up?
You're a very positive person.
I'm optimistic. Yes.
Oh, I like that hat.
Test that optimism?
No. Why would it? I mean, we're not where we want to be by any means. Losing by what did we lose by 28? Ooh. Losing by 28. You know, that's horrible. We don't want to do that by any means. Obviously, you got to watch the tape, but I think our first 2 drives, penalties backing us up, kind of put our defense at a disadvantage. I think they were at it felt like they were on the field the entire first and part of the second quarter. So time of possession was tough. I feel like that's something that I try to emphasize every single week. Like, hey, what are your goals of victory? Hold on to the ball, run the ball a ton, don't turn the ball over, and I don't think we did any of those 3 things tonight. So I think that's why we lost like that. We had 3 turnovers in the second half. They were 5 for 5 in the red zone. That's really tough. Hard to win on that as well. But no, my optimism is not broken by any means. We still have a lot of very talented players. We will get some guys back. And I still have full trust in this coaching staff to put our guys in position to make plays. And I got no worry about that. But definitely uphill grind. And going to see what we're made of, which I'm looking forward to.
Do you have the confidence that you guys have to fight it?
Yeah. What? Of course. Always do.
How about Brandon Allen? How he played? And some 6 passes to you. How was he?
I thought Brandon was great. He was good in the huddle. Spoke loud and clear, which was really nice for us. Yeah, and he made some really good passes. Definitely didn't see the back shoulder ball coming by any means. Not something that he practiced at all, but he gave me a chance at it, which was fun. Yeah, I thought he played, very well. And I think our run game has to be better so we can help him out a little bit. And again, we just had so many penalties all over.
Say it again, Kittle.
It's really hard to win football games like that.
I was going to ask you about the penalties. What is your frustration level a couple weeks in a row now? Where that's been?
I mean, penalties are tough. They hinder you. You play behind the chains. Especially in an environment like that, you don't really want to be in.
What just happened?
3rd and longs all the time, which is really tough. And then when you are in 3rd and longs, they can bring the pressure. They can do all this stuff to just kind of mess with you. And they did a really good job about that all day. And I feel like they were in a lot of 3rd and shorts. And then the 3rd and longs, they covered all those, and we just didn't. We couldn't stay on the field. Besides our one long drive in the end of the second, we were moving the ball, but we just didn't finish.
What was Kyle's message to the team?
Like every single other game this year. Moving the ball, but they don't finish. I mean, so it was no different than every other game.
I would say, without going word for word, that's not Niner football. We didn't play the way we wanted to play. Whether it's missed tackles on defense, penalties. I mean, basically what I already said to you guys. I do a good job of taking what Kyle says and just saying it right back to you guys.
George, two-part question.
Yes, sir. I don't know you. What's up?
I work for the AP here.
Oh, wonderful.
Do you always listen to Bob Dylan after a game? I'm curious about that. I heard that, and then
There's times for Bob Dylan.
Yeah, is this one of those?
Yeah, it's definitely a time for Bob Dylan.
Kind of a calming thing.
Yeah, just think about something else.
What did you guys do as skill players? What did you need to do to help out Allen kind of in this start?
Catch everything thrown to us, don't have penalties, and don't turn the ball over. And we didn't really do all those things. And it kind of just put him at a disadvantage. I thought Brandon played his tail off. He did everything he could possibly do, gave guys chances, threw the ball deep, put the ball on us. And whether it was we couldn't convert on a couple 3rd downs or 4th downs, it was just tough. I thought he played well, and we just have to play better.
George's interception looked like he ran for the ball. Did you see that?
The one across the middle tipped. Well, I mean, I would say I was running a deep ball on that, so I didn't see anything except for everyone going the other direction. So I had to do a quick 180 spin and then try to chase him down. No, I mean, Brandon's the one thing I respect about Brandon. He's giving everybody opportunities. Like he's gonna force you the ball, and he's just gonna give you a shot. Like I said, like the seam ball he threw me a back shoulder. That's not something that we hardly ever practice, those back shoulder stuff and like that. when he sees you with a one-on-one, he's just going to give you an opportunity, which I really respect that from him. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So typical George, he kind of just, kind of just tells it like it is. Here's a guy that needs to tell us something. And yeah, Fred Warner got to tell us something.
That's just poor technique, poor execution across the board. We knew the challenge that their running backs gave for us going into the game, and we just didn't execute.
Can you take us through the back-to-back penalties, depending on the field? How that frustrates you?
No, that's unacceptable. That's across the board. There's nobody that to point a finger at on that particular situation. It's all of us not being on the same page. We got to be better.
There's been drives where you've been consistent, and then there's been drives where it's been not 49ers football. How do you guys get back that consistency? Because it's been all over the board.
Yeah, that's something we got to look at as soon as we get back home, because we can't just keep doing the same things, expecting a different result. We got to be better and take a look, individually first and then as a group.
How discouraging was that first half? Can you remember a half that?
Yeah, no, that's about as bad as it can get. Probably the worst I've been a part of. And, even then it was still, 17-7 to end the first half. 10-point game, still had everything in front of us. We just didn't make the plays we needed to.
Miscommunication issues between you guys on the field, obviously the 12 nails thing, but outside of that?
No, other than that, I don't think there was a ton of miscommunication throughout. I think they presented some different run looks than we had prepared for in the first half, which we adjusted to as the game went on, and which was helpful. But we got to be better from the jump.
What is it sort of like going into this, just emotional letdown's probably not the right term, but when you don't have three superstars, does that affect you guys' psyche at all?
No, we had all the confidence in the world who we were going into the game with. We just didn't. Obviously, with the results of the game, it's going to look like we thought that we didn't have a chance. That wasn't the case at all. We were confident. We came in ready to go. We just didn't execute at a high enough level.
I'm sure any loss is painful, but does it hurt? How do you digest a loss like this when the scoreboard is lopsided?
Yeah, no, this is probably one of the worst ones I've been a part of. It is embarrassing. You got to take it on the chin, take it like a man, and move on. Thanks, guys.
So there's one thing that I don't think I can't believe that they don't know. I can't believe that these players don't recognize, but they've got to know that they're not a physical football team anymore. I don't expect him to say that out loud, but at the same time, it's got to creep in at some point that we're not physical. We're not hitting people. We got like two people hitting people out there. Other than that, everybody's just trying to drag people down and trying to make plays. But for the most part, we're just not a physical football team anymore. And this is the thing, and I said this on my show, is that Josh Jacobs is one of those types of running backs that always gives the 49ers problems. And for the last 2.5 seasons, I want to say 2.5 to 3 seasons now, that the big tough physical running backs give the 49ers problems because they try to go out there with little dudes. On the defensive line, they want little defensive tackles. They go for pass rushers more than they go for run stuffers. And their linebackers are small. So they try to be about speed, even though they're not really a fast defense. But they trust a lot. They put a lot of trust in their linebackers to come up and make plays. And when you're missing Greenlaw, like one of the thumpers that you have, it's really hard to be physical. And you have speed, but you don't have enough to bring the guys down. It's like you might as well have a bunch of safeties out there, and that's really what it feels like. Devondre Campbell's a bigger guy, but I mean he misses tackles, and I don't even think he played exceptionally bad, worse than anybody else did in this game. But at the same time, I think they just have to be real with themselves about who they are. The identity of this team is they are a finesse team that is undisciplined. It is undisciplined. Cannot. They have no. They can't build momentum at all because they're an undisciplined football team and they can't execute properly. They are 5-6. That's really. They look like a 5-6 team. Honestly, they look worse than a 5-6 team. I'm surprised that they have 5 wins. And I'm not saying that just to get beat down on them. Kudos to them for getting 5 wins with the team looking the way that they do. So I think this team has a lot more than just to come out here and say, "Oh, we got to look at the tape," and that's the worst thing I've ever played a part of. And okay, yeah, like they've been saying that a couple of weeks now, and we haven't seen anything different. In fact, it's gotten worse. So when you can't, when you're not improving, at a certain point, you've got to look at yourself, look in the mirror, and say, this is bad. Like I've got to start with me. I got to start with me. I got to go out there and be the and set an example. I got to pick up my guys and talk and talk about the things that we need to be doing. When somebody makes a mistake, not get on them, but just lift them up. Hey, come on. We'll get them on the next one. Let's go. And I'm not trying to tell professional football players how to talk to they know what they need to do. But right now, as fans, we're looking at this and it doesn't look like they know what to do. Now, I'll be honest. It looks like they have no clue of where they are currently, and they're still riding off the coattails of previous success. And that, at a certain point, you can't get, like, your name doesn't really mean much right now. Your prior years of football don't really mean much. You're only as good as your last game. But let's see. Is there anybody else? Let me see. Nope, I think that was it. All right. So it is what it is. 49ers go down 38-10. And next they have, I believe it's the Bills, right? Yeah, it's the Bills. They got the Bills in Buffalo, I believe. Come on. Are we really being this way? I don't know what's going on with the, but yeah, I believe they have the Bills next and in Buffalo. It's not going to be much better. In fact, let's be real. Green Bay was not a good team. Buffalo's a good team, and they've got a much better quarterback. It's going to be really hard. Even when even if Fred said, or who was it that said that? I think Kittle that said that they're going to get some guys back. Even with that, it's going to be very, very hard to stay with Buffalo. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but we're going to be here for you, and we're still hoping that they can pull it out, and we're still hoping that Kyle figures it out. We're still hoping that this team finds something from somewhere and is able to build up the chutzpah, to get out there and get the job done. Clean up all these mistakes, for goodness sake. I don't even have a problem with you getting beat if you're not shooting your own self in the foot. Those are the worst. So that's what we're hoping for. Yeah, it's Bills. Yeah, Bills at the Bills. And then after that, then they got the Bears at home, and then they got the Rams. But yeah, hopefully the 49ers come out and they come out with some renewed vigor and yeah, and hopefully it comes out better. But it is what it is. I will see you guys next on Tuesday with Beto and Brandon. We're thinking about changing up the dynamic of the show pretty soon. So be on the lookout for that. And then Thursday I'll have my show. Who knows? I might have somebody on with me. I might not. But we'll be getting you ready for the matchup versus the Bills. But I will see you guys on Tuesday. Hope you guys have a great week. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys are getting a chance to spend it with your families. If you're not getting a chance to spend it with your family, my thoughts and prayers are out to you. And yeah, like everybody should remember what this holiday is about. It's really about giving thanks for the things that we do have, even if we might not have everything that we always have, including a winning football team. like we need to thank him for the things that we do have. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a great night. And as always, make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And just tell a friend to tell a friend. 49ers might be losing this season, but that doesn't mean that you can't come in and talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's be a therapy session. But anyway, I will see you guys on Tuesday. Y'all have a great night. As always, go Niners.